everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a hot minute since I've been on here. The holidays were absolutely insane as a first-time mom. So I wanted to just kind of get on here and catch everybody up. Lila turned 5 months on December 27th, and it's about, I think, January 3rd today. So it's been about 5 months. And I have a lot of soon-to-be mom friends and even mom friends who are kind of going through this motherhood journey the first year with me. And a lot of us kind of go back and forth on, how you been? What are you doing for 4-month-olds, for 5-months-old? When are you starting food? And I kind of just wanted to get on here and talk about the first 5 months of being a first-time mom and share my experiences and to see if you guys can relate to any, or if you guys had any questions and maybe I have answers to them. But the past 5 months have been absolute bliss, but also the hardest 5 months, I wouldn't say of my life because of infertility, but pretty close. So without further ado, I wanted to welcome everyone back to my channel. Anybody new here, hit the subscribe button and we will get this show on the roll. So Lila is 5 months old, and I kind of wanted to start from the beginning of postpartum and what I kind of realized while going through all of this. My health was not, I guess, my number one priority prior to getting pregnant because I was going through the infertility thing, so I really wasn't at my best weight or even, I would say, health-wise. I didn't have a very structured breakfast, lunch, dinner eating schedule down, and I know that's kind of crazy because yes, I did turn 30, but I did not know how much that was going to affect me in postpartum. What I mean by that is my recovery was totally fine. I had a C-section. Yes, it was still tender. Yes, I was able to work out 6 weeks after giving birth. Did I? No. But I didn't start working out again until probably 3 months after, 4 months after. And I have been actually sticking with it for the last 2 months. So I'm proud of myself with that. But postpartum eating habits, postpartum time management, anything like that was very new to me because everyone kind of talks about, you're not going to sleep, or be ready for postpartum blues or anything like that, and none of that happened to me. I had a kid who slept since the day that we brought her home, full 8 hours, sometimes even 10 hours. And yes, I did call my pediatrician like the 3rd week of postpartum because I was like, why is my kid sleeping? I've heard all the stories that, you're supposed to be taking shifts and no one's going to be sleeping. Well, my kid was a very chill kid, still is to this day, and she was a sleeper. She slept perfectly. So I never really had that dramatic change of sleeping. What I did have a dramatic change in was my time management skills. I breastfed her exclusively for about 10 weeks, and then she rejected my boob. She wanted, I introduced the bottle because my husband wanted to feed her as well, and it did kind of help me out with, having free hands and not just sitting on my couch breastfeeding her around the clock. So when we made that switch to the bottle around 10 weeks, she realized that the bottle nipple comes out a lot faster than she had to suck on my breast. So I continued pumping and then also introduced formula to kind of beef her up around that 4th month time frame. And that time management of knowing when to stop breastfeeding, knowing when to pump, continuing pumping, and also formula feed, that was a lot for me. And I kind of lost myself, I would say, to an extent because I didn't realize how much time that took. And I know that sounds kind of crazy now, but when you're pregnant and you're a first-time mom, you don't really think about, I guess, the time management that you have to, delegate to each little thing. I did not know that breastfeeding and pumping was going to take literally almost my whole day, every day of this whole chapter of life. I thought that was just going to be something that you did. You breastfed, their meals every 3 hours, 2 hours, and then you didn't think about it. Well, with pumping and breastfeeding, you are constantly thinking about getting that milk out of you so that you can store it, so that you can freeze it, whatever it is. And that took a lot of time and honestly brain capacity for me. It was exhausting. I did it for 20 weeks, meaning that she had breast milk in her bottle for 20 weeks. And then I recently just stopped. So that was a big change for us. She's totally fine on formula. We use the Gentle Ease Enfamil. She loves it. She's great. And honestly, it did really beef her up. She was on the smaller side, being 3 weeks early, and now she is the chunky monkey that I wanted. So the time management skills is definitely something that nobody really talked about with me before having a baby. So, and this also kind of goes into the breakfast, lunch, and dinner thing that I was talking about earlier. It was very hard for me, since I was breastfeeding and pumping, to keep up my supply because I was not eating enough and not even eating frequently, because it's hard. You are taking the time to breastfeed your child. Breastfeeding typically takes 25 minutes. If that's, if your child is really latching and sucking, it could take up to 40 minutes if they're not. And then even with a bottle feed, she is drinking that bottle within 15 minutes, but then you're doing the burp, and the burping takes about, another 5 to 10 minutes. And then in total, that's about 45 minutes to an hour, depending on, again, what your kid is latching and what they're feeding with. And then after that, you only got about an hour to yourself until you are right back in that position and feeding them again, since you are trying to feed them every 2 to 3 hours. Now with pumping, it was a little bit different. Obviously, you're free of your child, because your child can be playing on the floor with your spouse or with a family member while you are pumping. But the whole situation of sitting and pumping again is the same thing as breastfeeding for me. So that psychologically was just like, oh my God, I'm stuck here again doing this. Now I know that it's great for the baby. I know that fed is best also. So that's why it was not a hard decision for me to say, okay, I made it to 20 weeks and I'm done. I'm going to go to formula. But I just wanted to emphasize the time frame management. I did not know that was going to be as difficult as it was. That's something for new moms to kind of think about. Have a good eating habit schedule already in place, meaning make time for yourself to prep that breakfast, to prep that dinner, lunch, whatever it is. Because I was not doing that, and I definitely could see where it would have benefited me if I did have that done and ready, so I could just grab and go and eat stuff, rather than trying to breastfeed, trying to pump, trying to play with her, then also trying to fit a meal in there, do the laundry, clean the house. It does get crazy. So the time management was a big thing for me. Now moving on to what was kind of happening with Lila during each month. First month, breeze. Like I said, she was a sleeper, so it was really easy for me and my husband. We really enjoyed that time, the snuggles, the easy going of the naps, the bedtime, everything like that. Super, super easy. Loved it. She is a very serious kid. She is not like her mother, obviously. But my husband is a very calm, collected, serious guy, and she definitely took after him. And in the beginning, it was kind of funny because, yes, I did kind of panic a little, thinking okay, why is my kid sleeping when everybody else's kid is, up during the night, eating during the night? Our pediatrician said that as long as she was getting that last feeding around midnight and sleeping until 7 a.m., 8 a.m., that was fine. Your pediatrician might be different, but I was not going to wake up my child every 3 hours just to feed her. She wanted to sleep. She needed her sleep. So that was something else that was different than what people told me when I was pregnant. Another thing that was a little bit different was doing the same thing over and over again. You anticipate the first couple months, you're probably not going to go out as much because they don't have their vaccines yet until about 2 months. You have this whole house to yourself really, and the baby, and laundry piles up, food, takeout comes in, everything like that kind of piles up. And that was something else that I didn't really anticipate happening. I really thought that if my kid's a sleeper, I could just put her down and start cleaning. But those first couple weeks for me, I was so amazed and into creating this tiny little human that I love so much that a lot of time, got away from me. So the laundry piled up, everything kind of, stood still, I guess, for me. I really, really enjoyed those special moments with her, and that's kind of the whole point of here that I'm making, is that the house can always be cleaned, especially if your husband, your spouse, your partner, whatever, your sister wants to come over and help you clean. Take it. That's the best thing ever. The support system, best thing. But let the house be dirty. Enjoy the moments with your little one, because it really does go fast. Like right now, she is the most chunky monkey little thing that you've ever seen. And I remember when she was a little string bean and just wanted to, snuggle and be close to me. And now she's becoming her own little independent, sassy person. So first couple weeks were great. Loved it. And again, I still think every moment with my kid is great. Just kind of talking about the milestones that we're, experiencing each month. So month 2 was a doozy. Month 2, her sleep schedule did not change. She was still a sleeper. She's still a sleeper to this day. But she obviously was a little bit more alert, learning wake windows and learning kind of her cues to know when she's hungry, to know when she's tired. That was honestly pretty cool to me to kind of identify those. Again, I was home with her. I am a stay-at-home mom. I chose not to go back to work after my maternity leave. So I really was with her 24/7, still am. So I kind of knew her cues early on. It was great. And she showed really strong cues. So it was easy for me to kind of detect, okay, she's hungry right now. Oh, she's uncomfortable. She needs a diaper changed, whatever it was. But just notice those cues. And what I mean by cues is I mean that the tongue thrusting was one of them for Lila. That usually meant that she was hungry. The rubbing of the eyes, the, deep yawn, stuff like that, especially when she was first, 2 months old, that definitely were the cues that I looked for. She would make a O face when she was going to the bathroom. So there was like a couple things that I really, really honed in on and noticed that made my life a little bit easier to kind of detect what my baby needed. Month 2 was very hard for us though, because she got a high fever and she didn't have her vaccines yet. She was about 40 days old, 45 days old, and not 60 days old. And anybody less than 60 days old as an infant, it is very dangerous when they get a fever. A fever for kids, also, if you did not know, is 100.4, which I had no clue until this happened to us. I thought, anything over, 98.6 is probably a fever, but no, 100.4 is a fever in all infants, toddlers type thing. And we actually had an experience where she had this fever. We called our pediatrician. It was a Thursday night, I think, and they told us that to check out the fever, but then go to our ER, the doctors. So that was kind of a doozy for us. And the reason why it was so serious was because, again, their body could start shutting down. They could seize, like all these things could have happened because they don't have their vaccines and they're such a tiny little human. When we got to the ER, they did put a catheter in her. Horrific. They put IVs in her. They really did a good job though, definitely calming me down too, because it was kind of strange seeing this poor little baby getting all these, equipments on her and stuff. Turned out it was okay. It just was a fever. They thought at first that it could have been like a UTI or something like that spiked the fever. It really was just a 24-hour fever, and sometimes babies do that. Did I know that before? No, I had no clue that babies just had fevers randomly or had 24-hour viruses that went in and out. Anything like that, I had no idea about before. So that experience really kind of shocked us. I will put a little photo here of little Miss Lila in her crib at the ER. The pediatric center was great, and they did not put her in the NICU or anything like that. She just was, a patient for about 24 hours. We did spend the night in the hospital, and that really kind of showed us, okay, this could happen. So moving into month 3 and 4, those were probably my first favorite months because she really was developing into her own person. She is a very serious baby. It's very hard to get smiles out of her, but she is the sassy queen that I love, and she is a funny kid. It's just that nobody ever told me either, or you don't think about these things, that your kid is not going to be just like you or just like the vision that you have in your head. So it's kind of funny to me that yes, she resembles my husband to a T, and kind of dealing with that as like a little baby is really fun, and it's just the best. Like just having a little mini human of, you and your partner is just the coolest thing ever. Months 3 and 4, she really started growing into her own. She was doing a lot of tummy time. That was like a big thing happening. And she got her 4-month shots. So another thing that happened during 3 and 4 months was that Lila randomly projectile vomited. And it was closer to her 4-month mark. And this also was shocking to us. We rushed her to our pediatricians. They basically just said, listen, watch her, make sure that she's eating and drinking, check that temperature. But it really was very random of her. She never really projectile vomited ever before. And this was 3 times that happened in an hour. So it was very scary, and it was difficult because I was just the only one home. So again, my husband went back to work. So this was more closer to the 4-month mark. And she, again, babies do the weirdest things, but that was just another little fluke where she woke up from her nap and just projectile vomited, and it was like, okay, that's what she did today. But again, when you're a first-time mom, those things are scary. You don't know what's going on with your baby, so you look to other moms for advice. You look to your pediatric for advice. But I'm just letting you know that babies are sometimes weird, and they do weird things like this. If you asked me that when I was pregnant, I would have been like, oh my God, did you call the doctors? So it's just something that you live and learn. Going into her 4th month again, had another, actually it was the end of the 4th month, just happened recently. She got COVID, and indicated COVID was my husband already had it the day prior. He was feeling really, really sick. He isolated downstairs in our basement. Me and Lila were up here. Lila did get very high fevers. She got, I think the highest fever was 103.8. So that was really, really high. It did reach 104, I think, once, and that was 104.0. That was when I was kind of freaking out. But again, we had to swab her nose. We did the whole 9 yards. It was COVID, and it just had to run its course. As long as she was eating and drinking, making her dirty diapers, her wet diapers, everything like that, it was smooth sailing. It's just that she was, very tired. She was hurting a little bit. We did give her Tylenol. That's another thing that I did not know, that you can't give Tylenol until they are 2 months. Making that weight too, I would talk to your pediatrician, but again, for Lila, she had to make about, I think it was almost 9 pounds she had to make until she could have her Tylenol, and now she is almost 16 pounds. So it does, affect her differently. The doses are different and everything like that. But during COVID, yes, I was doing Tylenol around the clock to get that fever down, gave her a couple baths to get that fever down, and it really did just have to run its course. My husband's COVID was actually a lot worse for him than Lila's was, so I was very thankful for that. And going into, I think, also the Tylenol frenzy, was that thing was like a huge thing these last couple months. From 3 to 5 months right now, she's getting her first bottom tooth, and it is very difficult to watch them go through teething, I think, just because you can definitely tell that they're in pain. And her left cheek gets really, really red to kind of indicate that was the side that the tooth was coming on. She's a lot more crabby. She is putting anything and everything in her mouth. She wants to chew on her binky more. So Tylenol has been our friend the last couple months. And don't be afraid to use Tylenol. That's another thing. I was kind of afraid to, especially when she had COVID, I was like, oh my God, I'm giving her Tylenol around the clock right now. Tylenol is helping that fever reduce, that pain reliever type of thing. Who want to be more, natural side, there's oils, there's other things that I even have looked into to do to relieve that pain and fever reducer. So now we made it to 5 months. I'm super excited. It's really, really getting into her personality, and I love it. She is the cutest little chunky monkey, like I said. Still has her dark, dark hair. I will bring a little clip in here to kind of show you guys. Actually sleeping right now, so I can't go grab her. But she is just really, really the best person I've ever met. I love her dearly, and I cannot wait until these next couple months where all of the things are really developing. Next month, we're going to introduce solids, so little foods, little purees, stuff like that. So We're going to keep on keeping on in this journey. And all of my mom friends, give a shout out in the comments. I know that you guys are probably looking at this and watching these videos. And any new mom friends who want to unite, you guys can also give this video a like and give it some comments. I would love to go back and forth with you guys. Motherhood is honestly the best club that you could ever be in. I truly, truly believe that. A lot of fun, and it's just every day is new. Something's new every day. And we are just really excited to be here. So I will see you guys next video, and Happy New Year.